We're here with Scott Peden, and you are running for the District 5 school board seat. And Scott, can you just tell us a little bit today, why did you decide to run this year?
Well, as some people may know or may not know, of course I'm married to a teacher. She's been a teacher for 21 years, and I've been involved in the schools for a long period of time. I'm also a parent and a taxpayer, and the direction that the school board was heading into for the past year or two has just not been good. There's been more negative things in the newspapers and in the media than there has been positive things. And the end result is all of that would cause the kids to lose out. And I'm all about the children. I'm talking about using every resource we have to educate our children. That's the function of the school board. That's what they're there for. It's not to be distracted by other things. And so the opportunity came up, and one Friday evening, my wife and I were sitting there talking, and I just said, I'm going to run for school board. And she kind of looked over her glasses and said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "No, seriously, I'm going to run for school board." And she said, "I think you'd be great at it. Go for it." And so that's I'm just about taking care of our children. I don't have any other agendas. I don't have anything but that. I just want to be a member and take care of those kids.
In the coming years, what do you see as major challenges or issues for Santa Rosa School District?
The big issue is finances. I mean, it's no secret that we are in tough times with property taxes, going down, people losing their jobs, moving out of the county. The revenues that fund the school system are going to go down. So, there's no way to offset that. You can't just have a rate increase and just make it all good. So the only way you can do that is to either you got to look at your expenses, but primarily you've got to look at your inefficiencies and effectiveness of what you've already got going on, and you deal with that first before you start dealing with cost. Last year they were going to lay off 400 people, 300 or 400 people, teachers. I mean, that was just unheard of. The Obama money saved that for a year or so, but that too will go away. So I think you've got to focus on that. I think of my 25 years of managing multi-million-dollar budgets through good times and through bad give me an insight into how to do that, because I've had to do it. And so that's a huge challenge. The other challenge is one of my biggies too, is bringing trust back. The lack of trust, well, let's just say the morale of all the employees and the teachers and support staff is at a low that it's never been at. And that's it. I mean, everybody admits that, from the superintendent on down. I mean, it's just, and it's a lack of trust. And I want to bring that back to the school board. I want to, when people listen to what I have to say, if I make a decision or I make a vote, they can trust in the fact that I was truthful about it and I did everything I could, to make sure that was the right decision that would best support the education of the children.
And talking about the budget, any specific areas you particularly look at first? Any areas in the budget that maybe are ripe for attention, let's say, at this point?
Well, like I say, you've got to look at your efficiencies first of all, and how can we do things better. We've got to look at some of our contracts. I think we got these companies we contract business with, whether it's driving the buses or cooking the meals or cleaning the schools. But can we do better? Can they're under contract, but can we do better? We've got to look at just utilities. I mean, and things like that. Can we spend some capital money, for example, that would help us offset an expense? Those are the kinds of things you look at. But I think there's a lot of money to be saved, and looking at every single thing that the school board does, and seeing if it's being efficient and if it's being used wisely. And my own personal budget, for example. I mean, if I shopped at Walmart for everything I buy, groceries and everything, I could absolutely save 5% of my expenses a year. But I don't have to, so I'll go to Wendy's. But when times are tough, then you got to shop at Walmart. Or you got to find the places where you're getting the best deal. You just don't go with the status quo and keep going.
Gotcha. And on the point returning trust, I mean, what's your strategy for that? How does the school board do that?
Well,
or morale, I should say.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to, as a school board member, you have to listen to the people. I mean, you got to listen to the teachers, the students, the administrators. the parents, the taxpayers, you're responsible to all of those people because you're taking care of 52% of the tax dollars. I mean, it's a large sum of money. And, you know, I think, and it's one of the reasons that I'm doing this, and it's why I think my campaign is doing very well, is because people do trust what I say. Like I say, I'm not a politician. I'm not in this for any other goal except to use my experience in business to help try to get to that end goal of taking care of the students. And so I think people will believe that if I say we can't do something, that I did everything possible not to be able to have to cut this, they can actually believe that I did that. Because in the school board meeting, I will raise questions, I will comment on everything that I feel needs to be commented on. It won't be a rubber stamping session, at least from my point of view, where you just say yes 99.4% of the time to whatever the superintendent recommends. There's got to be some more discussion. There's got to be, the board members have to get more involved in that process.
And this is slightly a bit of a state issue as well, but what's your take on the FCAT and on testing?
The FCAT is a disaster. It really is. I can't believe that you would test a child on what that child should know to complete that grade 10 weeks before that grade is completed. First of all, you've got 9 more weeks to teach them what they should know in that grade, and now you're testing them way too early to see it. And what that does, and now all the money, you got millions and millions of dollars on the line driven by the FCAT score, so that absolutely forces them to teach for the test instead of teaching the children. And that's wrong. We need to get back to the basics. I mean, they say the 3 R's, but 2 of them are misspelled. But you know, we've got to get back to the basics. We've got to get back to educating those children and teaching them what they should know in their grade level. And if there's a way they can come up with an end of year testing, I'm all for that. I think it should be. You've got to have a way to evaluate your kids as they progress through school. And some sort of standardized thing, I'm not opposed to that. But the FCAT is just, I mean, and now with the issue with how much millions of dollars they're paying a third party to grade the FCATs, and we don't even know if those are right. And once again, when you've got millions of dollars tied up into this thing, it's a setup for all kind of issues. I'll just put it that way. So I'm definitely for doing away with the FCAT.
Okay. Scott Peden, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
County Commission candidate for school board seat District 5.